Hey there, welcome back to the table. So we're getting ready to start our campaign of Eagle Leader. I almost hit the dust there. My apologies. Tripod malfunction. Let me place it there. Okay, so we're gonna do this campaign here. It's called the Norad 1985. So why did I choose this one to start? Well, I didn't want to do an introductory one. I felt those were going to be too easy. I thought this one was interesting for several reasons. Well, first of all, I didn't want to go straight to expert because there are some things about this game I'm going to have to get used to, and I'm going to explain those in a second. I wanted a standard difficulty, and then this one's just fun because you get a free pilot, and it's a Canadian pilot. And I just so happen to have, there are particular viewers who have been with me since the start, and one of them happens to be Canadian. So this is in honor of him. So we get a free Canadian pilot that's above and beyond our normal squadron. So we're going to get to start with 13 pilots instead of 12. And you know what? I'll take all the help I can get. So first thing I wanted to jump in, the rulebook has like what's changed from the other leader games, and then it's horrible. I don't know if the designers are ever going to watch this, but it's like, come on, guys. So they do a defensive spiel about, why they had to make some concessions for game purposes. Like, so right here, it says, changes in Eagle Leader. And I was expecting to find actual changes. Like, so if I play Hornet Leader, this is what I need to pay attention to. No, it's none of that nonsense. It's talking about how NATO munitions, yeah, they use different munitions, but guess what? We're going to use AIM-7s and AIM-9s anyways, because they're more or less the same in how they function. And, right here, you can even see right here, it says AIM-7, AIM-9, or the GBUs, because they didn't want to, create all these, individual tokens. I mean, I get that. I totally support that. And I know there's some grognard out there that's going to be like, the French never use these types of weapons, or or NATO, whatever. I get it. There's anal people out there that you have to address. But this is not a change in Eagle Leader. This is defense of why you designed it the way you did. The change in Eagle Leader that I'm looking for is, for example, and I think it's page 41. Give me a second while I pull it up. Yeah, and we're talking 41. Nope, it's a little further. Maybe it's 51 or 61. It is 49. Well, hold on. It's not even on 49. Of course, I can't find it when I need to. One second. Okay, I found it. Page 47. Sight and bandit attacks. So I'm holding both the camera and this in my hand. Let me put this down right here. Aircraft at low altitude in a standoff area cannot be attacked by sights with a range of 1 or more. That is a huge change. And that is what I was expecting to be in the changes in Eagle Leader section. Instead, it's buried on page 47, and it's in a section where it's like, I was very tempted to say, I already know these rules. I don't need to read this. And that's the thing that was really getting me about this, is that they bury these oh my gosh rules in the middle of like routine stuff. So that's a huge change. So what's a standoff area? I guess if some of you are new, that's this. In the other leader games, if you had a bandit or a sight, and here's all the tokens, right, that are in the game. So like this site here has a range of 4. That's what that 4 means right there. And so that means it would be a huge threat if you drew this. And if you chose to come in at this standoff area, or any of them around the edge of the board, on turn 1, that thing is shooting at you, unless you can go fast, which means you have to spend a situational awareness, or you have to have a fast pilot, one of the two. And then you have to get your shot off first and destroy this thing, or otherwise it's shooting at you. What this is saying is, as long as I'm low altitude, I'm immune on turn 1. It's only on turn 2, when I move forward, that I am now at risk. I could choose to stay here and then come back later. Now, there is one caveat with that. The way you handle these things is you shoot them with AGM-88s. And AGM-88s require high altitude. So see that little R right there? That R means it shoots at radar targets. And this has a giant R on it, which shows that it's a radar target. I am getting, there we go. So with the radar target, you need to shoot one of these to destroy that. Well, you have to be high altitude to do it. So the takeaway here is, okay, it's something that you want to do, and you need to be high to do it, or you could just stay low. And if you stay low, you avoid getting hit altogether. It's a very interesting conundrum. But they threw that in the game. And I mean, part of me is like, well, won't we always just start low? And the answer is not always. Because the only way you destroy those suckers is to go high. And that means that you still have to go fast, and you still have to do all those things I just explained. So what does it buy you? It buys you, like if you have a round where you're just going after the fighters, and you need to, shoot at them, then yeah, you can go low, and then you can ignore the sights, take out all the bandits first, and then eventually you can come in and finish off the rest, right? You can buy yourself some time, especially if you have pilots that are both air-to-air and air-to-ground. You can focus on the air-to-air first at low altitude, and then come in later and take care of the air-to-ground. Now, I'm looking through all my components while I'm talking to you, because I'm trying to find where my aim, I think they're called AIM 120s or whatever. Here they are. So this one can be shot high or low. So if you come in low and shoot these bad boys, you can spend a turn doing that, and then take out all the bandits, get them out of the sky, and then you can go high and worry about the radar sites. It's an interesting rule. Now, another thing that they did, which I was totally expecting to be in the changes in Eagle Leader section, is they removed Phoenix missiles. And if you recall in Hornet Leader, the Phoenix missiles was a phase where you shoot before turn 1 even begins. And they're like extra long range, and they can shoot anything on the map. They're completely removed from this game. And in fact, the enemy has their version of Phoenix missiles. They call it the, what do they call it? They call it the Foxhound ER attack. So now you're the one getting attacked, and there's no avoiding it. You just have to take your lumps and possibly get destroyed. So it's an interesting, it makes the game harder for sure. And, am I going to whine about it? Yeah, a little bit, because I like the control I had with the Phoenix. But I guess my question for those of you who are history grog nerds more than I am, was that a thing, where Phoenix missiles only existed with the Navy but not with the Air Force? Because this is more of an Air Force leader than the other one was like a Navy leader. That's the thing I'm trying to understand is, which of the, was Phoenix really just completely gone? And it's a weird, it seems weird to me. I don't have a problem with the enemy doing extra attack, but why can't we also do extra attack. I guess that's what my thoughts were. If we had the technology, the Phoenix missiles were clearly a thing. Why can't we both like mutually be shooting at each other? I'm totally okay with them adding that the enemy has the same capabilities, but why did they take away our capabilities? That's really my question. As far as everything else, there are more or less not that many changes. The changes are in the equipment that you can bring to the battle, and of course the weapons you can use. Oh, another big change, actually, speaking of which, is the Mavericks. So the Mavericks in this game are the AGM-65s, which are just like the previous games, except they no longer have advantage against dispersed targets. So a Maverick, I'm just trying to find one here. Oh, that's not a Maverick. This one is. So here you can see it has a +3 versus vehicles. It used to have a D. If I pulled out the Hornet Leader, I would see a D there, and that would be, they had a big advantage against a dispersed target as well. And most of the armored vehicles would have vehicle and dispersed, like both keywords. Now, I read in the forums that the dispersed targets are greatly reduced in this game, so that makes me feel better. But this used to be the primo weapon to shoot against dispersed targets. That's no longer there. So I'm just curious how that's going to shake out. Another thing that they did, which you just saw happen here, is see, these are both AGM-62s, which are the walleyes, right? So let me zoom this in, put them back in the view here. So they're both AGM-62s, but if I flip them over, they have completely different things on both sides. That is the most annoying design decision ever. And I get it. Like, there should be a limited number of these and a limited number of those. That part I don't have a problem with. The part I'm having a problem with is when I'm organizing my stuff, I see this and I put them in the same bucket, and then I'm looking for my targeting pads, and they're mixed in with the Mavericks. And it just makes finding what you need to play the game and enjoy the game more difficult. And anytime you make administering a game more difficult, you make it less fun. I just think it's an infuriating decision to save some components by, like, I would have been totally fine if they gave me a walleye that was blank on the other side, or it was just a walleye on both sides. This decision to do two different things on the opposite side of a walleye, not a fan. Not a fan at all. All right, so now getting into the last piece. This makes mixing the components with Hornet Leader a lot more difficult because they don't quite line up. The one thing that does line up are the AIM-7s and AIM-9s. And as you can see here, I have a whole tray of them. I mean, there's easily 50 or 60 in here. And these are from all the games. So Hornet Leader, Corsair Leader, you know, and now Eagle Leader. They're all mixed in. Every game has more than plenty for any mission. So I'm never worried about, like, the fact that these are limited. The one thing, though, is now they also have AIM-7 on one side and then, like, you know, a walleye on the other. And that's really annoying because, again, for putting these away, it's just real easy to throw all the AIM-7s in here. I do keep them all in one box. I did verify that there are no changes at all on the Sidewinders and in this versus the other games. So they are all identical. So I do have them all together. It's just something I do. Just like I keep all my stress tokens from all my games together. So I have one giant bin of stress tokens. And that makes it funny here because in the damage token section, you can see they changed the damage markers. So that's an old damage marker and that's a new one. So now I got them both mixed together because they still mean the same thing, but they did give new graphics, and the same with situational awareness. You can see there's the new ones, there's the old ones. I still mix them together, but they mean the same thing. Okay, last thing. We're gonna have to select our pilots. I'm gonna need some time to sort through that, so I'll pause the video as I do that. The thing that I wanted to bring up though is getting back to the components is that they're limited. And the biggest thing that's limited about components are, I've always experienced that the Mavericks, I always need more Mavericks. And then I always need more AGM-88s. So here's the AGM-88s, and I'm pulling them out of the bin here. The AGM-88s always historically had the problem where the other side is an ECM pod. But as you can see, that's not the case here. And now the AGM-88s, the other side are these alarms. And alarms are also anti-radar missiles, or they're the AGM-45s, which are a weaker version of the AGM-88s. But some pilots can only use the 45s, usually the foreign ones, the NATO ones. And same with the alarm. That's a European version of the AGM-88s. But anyways, these are my precious weapons, right? I always need a crap ton of them. They used to have the ECM pods on the other side. In this case, they don't. And in fact, it makes me wonder, where are my ECM pods now, if that's the case? And I'll have to go find those. I don't know where the ECM pods disappeared to. But I shall find them. I commit to that. I don't know. One other small thing while I'm sitting here trying to find my ECM pods is I noticed that the Harpoon no longer says that it's a naval-only weapon. And I don't know if that was an oversight on the designers or if they decided to open it up, but our Harpoon is the AGM-84. And the AGM-84 is this guy right here. So in the Hornet Leader rulebook, these are naval only. But you can see those are pretty nice numbers for as far as rockets go. And so if I start using these against tanks and other targets, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm breaking a rule, but it's not in this rulebook. And then they added this new concept, the AGM-78, which is also an anti-radar, but look, it's 2 weight points instead of 1. So it takes a lot more weight points, but it's still a very good option. So last thing I wanted to mention, there are 2 paradigms you need to think about here when you're selecting your pilots. The first one, of course, is that you could just say, hey, I'm going to do an all-American, thing. And there's nothing that's going to stop you from doing that. There's no rule that does it, but strategically, it's a poor decision. And the reason why it's strategically a poor decision, and I have the base game pilots separated still. And so in the base game, you have Canadian pilots, you have Australian pilots, which are here. They got the little kangaroo on them. And then they even give you some UK pilot, or that's a Japanese pilot. They give you some NATO pilots, which are considered another nation for purposes of the game. And I thought they maybe even gave us a UK pilot, but I might be wrong. So you have 4 nations represented in the base game. I know when you buy the expansions, you get France, you get Greek, you get everything else. But you have 4 nations in the base game in addition to America. Why does it matter and why is it important? Well, the biggest reason it matters, and some of this, I got to be careful because like Canada and Australia uses the same exact munitions as the Americans do. But, so for example, this NATO guy only uses AGM-45s and 62s and 65s. So that's a version of the AGM-88s. But it's not. It's a weaker version. And the 62s are the Walleyes, and these are the Mavericks. Oh, no, here we go. There's the 88s over there. So where I was going with this is that some of the foreign pilots uses different munitions than you do as an American. And for that reason, if you have limited components like the AGM-88s, you might be better suited taking a foreign bomber, for example, who can also equip their version of AGM-88s. And here I found, like we have alarms. I showed you that there were alarms on the other side of some of them. But like in the, this is the German expansion, the German and British expansion. They have more alarms, right? And you can see those are a weight point of 1. They hit on a, they hit radar targets, and they only need a 3 to hit. That's better than the AGM-88s, these alarms are. Their range is 1 shorter. The AGM-88s have a range of 4. These have a range of 3. But if AGM-88s, because these are limited, I mean, this is all I have, right? I mean, if I take 2 12-weight bombers and load them up with stuff like this, I have nothing left. But if I take a foreign pilot, now I can equip alarms, which is the other side of the AGM-88 here. But that's not the case if you have the expansion. Now, I know not all of you have the expansion, so forgive me for that. But if you do have it, I very strongly recommend that you choose pilots from other nations so their munitions can be used alongside yours, and you never have a shortage of components. That's a very strategic decision, is to stop having shortage of components. The other one has to do with skills. And I am going through the skills real quick here. I know NATO should have one. Yeah, right here. NATO Tiger. If there are aircraft from 3 or more nations on a mission, the pilot ignores all stress suffered from the mission zones. That's a good skill. And there are other skills that are like this, where it's 2 aircraft or 3 aircraft from other missions. So again, if you have an all USA squad, you can't take skills like this. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is the game sort of rewards you for being more multicultural with your squads. So we're going to try to do that. I have all 8 expansions, so we're going to open that up. The fact that the Phoenix missiles are gone, and you have a phase where you're just going to get shot at and basically you have to use evasion. You can't use ECM jamming either, by the way. It's just an evasion roll where you do get to roll 2 dice and take the lowest. So, I mean, you got that going for you, but you could still roll 2 10s and it ruins your day. That's where Bushido might come in, because Bushido lets you say nope to that and you get to ignore it. So all of a sudden, Bushido and having a Japanese selling something with you could make the difference, since you are at the mercy of bad dice rolls in this game now. Yeah, with that said, I'm going to pause here. It's going to take me a while to get through all these pilots. There's 250 of them. I know I can eliminate a few because of the year 1985, but it's not going to eliminate that much. I'm also unfamiliar with the difference between an Eagle versus a Strike Eagle versus a Fighting Falcon. Some of them, like for example, some of the premium ones that you have to pay SO points for, they do air and ground, which I'm totally okay with one that only does air and one that only does ground, because that's typically how you only have so many weight points to begin with. But the air and ground, I can see value because you can put just one AGM-88 on them, and then the rest of them air, for example, or something. Like you can do stuff like that to help balance out your squad. I just don't know. I just don't know the right balance there, because having a pilot that's both air and ground capable, which is what the Hornets are, by the way. But even with the Hornets, I, in my head, had these are my air-to-air Hornets and these are my air-to-ground Hornets. I still sort of separated them out. And maybe it just means I don't need the SO points. Oh, one last thing before we before I pause here, these SQA resources, which I've been talking about. So you can see here that this is like, you can have some Thunderbolts with us, some A10s, and you can spend 1, 2, or 3, depending on if it's a short, medium, or long campaign, and you get this bonus for just one mission, and then you'd have to pay it again if you want to use it the next day. I really despise these SQAs. First of all, why is it 1 SO point if I'm on a short campaign and 3 if I'm on a long, if both of them are only good for 1 day? Long campaign does give you more SO points. I get that. But I have more days in my campaign. So the fact that it's more expensive to use these, pointless. Absolutely pointless. And then the other thing is these are extremely expensive. That's 3 SO points to get this one-time bonus. Come on. Come on. Like, if these were things you can purchase at the start of the campaign and then they're just part of your choices, I would love that. But look at this. This is where it gets really ridiculous, is we're going to start... Let's see. So this is a KC-135, a veteran. 18 SO points, just so 4 aircraft can ignore the weight point and stress penalty for 1 mission. 18 SO for that. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So just to put it in perspective, this campaign gives you 32 total. So you're giving you 32, and you're going to spend half your SO points for 1 mission. Bull. Absolute bull. Now, they do say you can house rule things, and I might figure out a way to do that. I don't have ideas on this other than maybe if I'm willing to spend the 18 SO points, I can at least have it for the whole game. That seems almost like now it's too powerful, right? I don't know the right balance, but I just think it's horrible. And then here's like these stealth fighters. 9 SO points for this one, and that is a typo. It is supposed to say 18, just like the KC-130. And not only that, but if you roll a 1, it's destroyed. So you're spending all these SO points for the possibility that this thing will get destroyed and you don't get anything for it. I mean, what a ridiculous... Like, who's going to do that? Absolutely nobody. Nobody's going to do that. And I love the idea of doing a Tomahawk Strike before we go in on a mission. I mean, that seems like, the joint combat arms thing is supposed to be what it's about. But it's not letting us do that at all. It's very prohibitive. That's the word I'm looking for. It's prohibitive. I do want to say it's a dumb decision because it's so prohibitive. I mean, I like that they made it an option, and I like that they were thinking that way. But it's so prohibitive that I don't understand how anybody would ever choose to use it. So if you guys have suggestions on how to use them more practically, please let me know. I know, another suggestion I read is just use the short cost. Ignore the other 2 costs. So, I mean, 1 SO point for one of these actually sounds reasonable. 3 SO points for one of these to help you on a mission, I could say that's more reasonable. So maybe that's the solution, is that we just use the short campaign costs and ignore the medium and long. I like that solution. One last thing. We were talking about in the last video, I keep saying one last thing. In the last video, we were talking about how the Greeks had these Corsairs with only 2 weight points. I did find out in Board Game Geek that was an errata. So they actually have 8 weight points just like all other Corsairs. And then lastly, these EF-111s are support craft. They don't count towards your mission limit. They have 3 things: spoof, deny, and enhance. I always have to look up what they are, but one of them is just like the old Prowlers and Growlers, that it's a -1 to rolls against, their group. One of these is a SAM or a radar sight that's shooting at you, like a sight. Let me just phrase it that way. A sight shooting at you gets canceled and has to choose another target. And then I can't remember what the third one is again. It might have to do with canceling events, but they're a lot more powerful. And the differences between them is one will have more of one thing than another. So like this one, you can see has more deny and less enhance. This one has more enhance and less spoof, right? So you're gonna pick the one that probably suits your play style. I still think the Prowler and Growler one is the best, and the so I like the spoof is what I'm trying to get at, and I'm gonna pull this up real quick. So before here we go. So the order here is different than the order on the card, which is going to mess me up even more. So Enhance is the Growler Prowler ability. Deny cancels all attacks from one site with a radar against the aircraft in the same area as the EW for 1 turn. If there are other aircraft within a different range, like if you have your guys split up, the site would shoot after them. So this basically cancels a radar SAM attack, and it's against all of your aircraft. So cancel all attacks from one type of site against the aircraft, which is plural, in the same area as the EW. And then spoof automatically redirects any attack against friendly aircraft in the same area to the EW aircraft itself. But it has a -5 penalty to the die roll. And basically it's a decoy. It's like an ECM jam. So any attack, and this includes from bandits, it represents them putting a false radar image. So all 3 of these are actually really good. Having to remember which one's which is going to be my biggest challenge. But these are, so there are no AWACS anymore. In fact, AWACS is a SQA craft now, and it gives you one single situational awareness. So in the past, my strategy of using AWACS to feed my troops, not quite going to work. The Prowlers and Growlers were always a cool concept. This is an even cooler concept. I like this because it's probably more representative. And then we are going to play with the variant where the enemy can radar jam us. And that causes us to get a -1 to our rolls. And it's in the options section. And if I can find it real quick. It's up here. Here we go. Electronic warfare, sites and bandits. So we're going to be able to add 6 extra SO points because it does make the campaign harder. But the Yak bandit and mobile vehicle jammers are going to be added to the mix. And basically, they don't make attacks. They do not move. The bandits will always stay with other bandits. So they, if there is the Yak, it'll fly with all the other ones. If there are 2 bandits, blah, blah, blah. They provide a protective, causing a -1 modifier to all attack rolls in their area. The effects of multiple are cumulative. And so if it's a jamming site, it's going to do a -1 for their area, or a jamming bandit will do a -1 for its. And that's whether it's air or ground. So obviously the Yak is going to be protecting the bandits, and it's going to fly with the bandits. It's less concerned about protecting the ground. If it's over ground targets, it will protect them as well. So those are all things to bear in mind. I have a lot of choices, way more than I have in previous leader games, and it's going to take me a while, but you're not going to notice because I'm going to hit pause right now. Oh, and last but not least, I keep saying that, there's these special conditions, and we're allowed to go through the deck and pick one. And there's some that make you pay SO points, but there's other where you can gain SO points. So it's a nice way to give yourself a possible, so right here, each primary mission must have pilots of at least 2 nationalities. If you can't meet the obligation, you owe SO points, but you gain SO points if you're willing to do it. I mean, my goodness, if you're going to go combo with your nationalities, I mean, this might be a great idea. But be careful, right? Whatever you agree to, that's changing the rules for the campaign. But it might be a nice way to get 12 SO points without having to owe anything back. All right, I'm going to pause here. I'll be back. Okay, in my best French accent, which I'm not good at doing, 4 hours later. And I'm not kidding. It's easily been 4 hours. This game just requires a tremendous amount of organizing, looking things up, cross-referencing, and then choosing from 250 pilots was not an easy task. I'll show you what I chose, and then we'll get started with the campaign here. The biggest challenge I had is I wanted to try so many things, and I am starting the game with only 2 SO points, which might be a stupid move. Usually I always save a lot more than that, but I don't have that many for this. And the campaign gives me 32. I didn't put in all my intermediate math, but I'm only starting with 2. I spent 30 of it. And I can show you down here at the bottom. I took the Operation Surprise for another 15. So I gained 15. I took an F-15 Stole, which is one of the experimental craft, for 9. I took 2 Aardvarks for 18. I took a Super Tomcat, which is another experimental, for 6. And an F-29, which is another experimental, for 9, leaving me with only 5. And then I took a G91, which gave me 18 more, for 23. And then I bought 7 skills. And to be honest with you, I wanted to buy 12 skills, 15 skills. So my largest dilemma is, did I really need to take all this special aircraft? I mean, there's some really good aircraft out there. The Aardvarks are the only thing that I think that you might want to always spend the points on, just because they're like the intruders in Hornet Leader. I mean, you just want a bomber that can just bomb the crap out of the target. Everything else, I'm going to show you why I chose what I did, and maybe it's not worth it, right? And if it's not worth it, then we can get more skills. So, what skills did I want to take that I left on the table? Well, first of all, one of our pilots is from Portugal, and I never took the Portugal skill, which would have given me 2 free SO points in munitions every time he went on a mission. I mean, that's really good, and I only have 2 SO points starting this mission, or the whole campaign. So, but that's one of the skills that I did take it. I did take it. I'm sorry, that's one of my 7. Never mind. I made room for 7, so I could take that. There's the cool mustache one, which reduces or adds 1 cool. I mean, if you're going to start the game with only 2 SO points, that means you're not doing any priority R&R. Well, then I should have bought, as many +1 cools as possible, so that way all my pilots can just, they don't need all priority R&R because their cool is so high that they can go on missions and not take stress. We're not doing that this time, and it could prove dangerous for us, but we're going to try it out. I wanted to try as many different things as I could. And you can see we have Canada, USA, Italy, Australia, Japan, Portugal, and then NATO represented. That's just a generic NATO flag. What's not seen here is I don't have Germany, I don't have the UK, I don't have France. UK Tornado is a great looking plane. You can only take 12, and in this case I get to take 13. And it's still I just don't, I feel like I have so many choices I have to make here. The other skill I really wanted to take is, see, I got the nice rainbow of culture here. I didn't take any of the skills that give me a bonus if I have multiple nations in a mission. So it sort of defeated the purpose of having all these different nations represented. But you'll see what I did take. And I'll let you decide if I made the right choice. You can definitely put something in the comments of what your thoughts are. But without further ado, let me get started. I do have to pause real quick because somebody's at my door, but I'll be right back. Okay, first off, we gained 15 SO points because I took Operational Surprise. So what we're going to do is, before we start the campaign, we're going to go through the target deck until we find the first improvement. And it's going to be in play. So we're going to have a penalty right from the start. My attitude was this was a real easy one to do. It doesn't matter what the improvement does to us. We can make it our mission when we start the game. It's just our first mission. I don't care what my first mission is. I just want to get started, right? So we have an improvement that's going to hurt us, but I'll just make that my mission and we'll get rid of the improvement. So wasn't too concerned about this. It was an easy 15 points to get added. So that's our operational surprise situation. And then I had to take, or I didn't have to, I took 3 aces. Now these replace average. So you can see the 3 aces at the bottom here. And one of them I took because we had to take it. There's no reason I can't avoid it. His name is JB. And Mr. JB, you better be worth it. So here we go. We have JB here, and he's got the Red Flag Vet and Norad Vet. Now those are free skills that come with him. And you can get 2 more on top of it. So you can see I gave him Norad Vet, Red Flag Vet, and Aggressor. Now, what do those mean? I don't remember what those mean either, so let me look them up. So, Aggressor is he gets +1 air-to-air against all bandits, but not bombers. Or no, including bombers. The Norad Vet gives him +3 air-to-air against bombers. And then the Red Flag Vet, the first damage result that he receives on the mission is a +1 stress instead. So if he ever gets damaged, he can just treat it as a stress, and he won't lose his munitions or take a damage. So he is a fast pilot. The big weakness for JB is he's only got a +2 air-to-air, but this is adding a +1, which will give him his +3. So that's why I spent one of the skills on him. And then, of course, if he's ever fighting a bomber, one of these two, I think it's the NORAD one, that'll give him +3 more. So he'll have great rolls. I mean, a +2 is already pretty good. He has 1 SA, 2 cool. You couldn't ask for a better cool. 2 is the highest in the game, I think. I don't know if there's anybody who has 3. But 2 is really good. 8 weight points is excellent. He can do AIM 7, AIM 9s, AIM 120s, but there are no AIM 120s in this mission. So AIM 7s are the best he can do. He can have an ECM pod. All right, so he's a straight up eagle, which is the whole point of this game, right? So we got 1 eagle in the game. Next, I'm going to go through my fighters here. So the next up is from Japan. We have Merida, who is average with a +2 and is the aggressor skill, which gives him a +1 against all bandits. So he's right now +3. And that's about it. Merida, why did I choose Merida? He will get the Bushido effect, which will allow him to ignore being destroyed. And he levels up fast. It was just a really good, and it's a cool looking tile. All right, so now we have Japan in the mix. And then our next fighter is Prejudice. Prejudice is an experimental aircraft, the F-29. I paid 9 SO points for this guy. That's 3 skills I gave up. Like, if you're thinking about it in terms of skill economy, right? I gave up 3 skills for this, and you could make a strong argument that this is not worth it. But what he gets is he gets +2 air-to-air versus any target that's 1 or more away, which is anything a Sidewinder can hit, right? So that's the AIM 7s or the AIM 20s, but we can't use those. He has a +3 air-to-air even at the skilled level, and that's going to give him 2 more. So he'll have a +5 on all of his air-to-air rolls. That is pretty phenomenal, which is why I wanted to try it. But again, I think you can make a strong argument that, hey, that is 3 skill points right there. You could have gotten him aggressor for 3 of those points, right? And then still had 6 points left over to get him something else. I mean, yeah, the aggressor is not a +2, but the aggressor gives him a +1, which is half of this. So For 3 points, I can get half of that bonus of +2. Now, my attitude was, well, I could have added aggressor on top of this and had a +3, which made it an overall +6. So I'm thinking, in the long haul, this is not worth it. We're going to try it for this campaign, but in order to get SO points back, this is 9 points. I could have gotten them back. That +2, we could have paid for an aggressor and gotten +1, which is half of that, and still had 6 SO points left over, which I could have spent on other skills and other things. So I know you get the gist, but we're going to try it. I paid for the expansion. I'm going to use it, dang it. But yeah, let's try it out and see if that +2, how badly did I need that +2? I think I sort of do. I mean, the aims, if we're getting into the mechanics of the game, this is an aim 7. Oops. So there you can see it hits on a 6. So if he has a 3, and let's say he rolls a 1, right? That's the worst roll you can get. That's a 4. And that +2 is a 6. It's a guaranteed hit every time he shoots. I don't even need aggressor right now with him. He guarantees every shot he makes. He will never miss. So, like, part of me is like, that is freaking awesome. But you know what? If I want to save 6 SO points, I can downgrade to, an eagle. And this, by the way, is only 6 weight points. The eagle has 8 weight points. So, I mean, you can carry more stuff. I can downgrade him, pay the 3 for the aggressor skill. Then I need to roll a 2 or better to hit. So only the 1s kill me. And I would get 6 SO points back. I mean, the more I talk about this, the more I'm thinking, yeah, that's the right choice. I mean, I'm convincing myself very strongly here that I made the poor choice here. Let's roll with it. Let's roll with it. There are so many eagles that I wanted to take that, like, there's some really good pilots out there, and I didn't take them because I took these ones, and, it's a fair argument that I don't need that. And I could have gotten 6 points back. But okay, all right, let's move on. So we did that, and our Canadian pilot, per the campaign, we get a Canadian pilot, and he's at skilled level. And it doesn't count against our 2 skilled pilots, so like he's a bonus pilot. So the Canadian pilot I chose, Canadians, by the way, are Hornets. And in honor of my other viewer, I have Hansen here. And Hansen is just like a Hornet leader. I mean, he has 8 weight points, so that would be like a Hornet C. And he's at the skilled level. He has +2 air to air. And he has +1 air to ground. And there you go. He's got everything's laid out. The one thing that I find interesting is AGM-88s cannot be equipped, even though in Hornet Leader they could. But right now he has 1 cool no SA, and there you go. We got Hansen. So that's 2 of our YouTube viewers covered. If there was a pilot named Wombat, I would have for sure figured out how to get it into the lineup, but there is no pilot named Wombat. Shame on DVG for not thinking of Wombat. That is actually a very cool pilot name, and I would have gotten a 3rd viewer covered, but unfortunately that's not the case. All right, now I'm just going to go in order here. So next one up is the Raven, which is Druid. So I misrepresented this before I hit pause. These numbers you see, he can do these every turn. But if he spoofs, he's going to gain 4 stress on himself. So he's gaining 4 stress to spoof. He's gaining 3 stress to deny and 4 stress to enhance. So the lower number is actually better. And right now he's green, which means he sucks. Here you can see if he spoofs just 1 time, he's going to go to shaken. He has no cool, and we're going to have to baby him for the beginning of the campaign. I had to pick somebody to be green, and actually I would have picked Hansen. It's just that Hansen was a free skilled. There was one other pilot that Merida, I think, could be green if I wanted him to. Yeah, it's the same amount of extra experience points. So we're gonna live with it because these ECM jammer pilots, we're trying them out. They seem way cooler than the Prowlers and Growlers from yesteryear. Although the Growlers were nice because they could load the AGM-88s, and they could basically be your AGM-88 monkey. Anyways, there's no weapons on these anymore. They just fly around and take up space, and they can jam. And I don't know how much I need that, but we're gonna find out. This is my noob. It's Piacentini, I think is how you pronounce that. My Italian side of my family is going to be very upset with me, but I think it's Piacentini. Yeah, that's how I would pronounce it. I gain 18 SO points for taking this one. Why am I gaining 18? Well, because the weight points is just 2. He sucks, but I did it just for the SO points. And he does carry the AS-20. And the AS-20 is a pretty cool little weapon. It's like a Maverick. So it has +3 versus vehicles. It only hits once, though, instead of twice. But I got those out just in case. That's what he can equip. And he can obviously take regular bombs if I bring him along for a mission. And he's got negative numbers, but I don't expect him to do much of anything. Next is one of our aces. This is Nacho, because that's nacho cheese. So he starts with 2,000 hours, which means that he does not gain any stress from the campaign map. So that's a really good skill. I really like that skill. And that means I can use him a lot. He won't get stressed very high. And then he has Guard Guy, and I already forgot what Guard Guy is. Give me a second. Guard Guy, I know it's good. What does Guard Guy do? As long as he's carrying only standard weapons, he gets +1 to his air-to-air and air-to-ground. So he's at +4. And you know what? I just realized I don't need one of these skills then. I gave him Wild Weasel. Wild Weasel is an awesome skill that gives him +1 on all air-to-ground against sights. Not the target, but sights. He's our AGM-88 guy. AGM-88's hit on a 4. Well, if he has a 3 right now, and he's getting a +1 because of Guard Guy, he's already at 4, and I don't even have to roll. He hits every time. I don't need Wild Weasel on him, so I'm going to take that back. That's 3 SO points. I'm either going to get back or I'm going to give a skill to someone else. And we might give the skill to someone else, because like I said, I didn't take the NATO stuff, where we get bonuses if they have multicultural whatever. So I don't need Wild Weasel on him. This one is our other ace pilot, and it's an Aardvark, Cortez. He has Runway Breaker. Runway Breaker is a +5 against runway targets. And then he has 1,000 hours, which is not quite as good as the ignore stress on the map. Let's see, what's the 1,000 hours do for us? 1,000 hours. You have to expend it to ignore an event. So he'll be able to ignore one event the whole campaign. It's a one-use pony. But the Runway Breaker is why I took him. He has this ability to equip this thing called the Durandal. Now, the Durandal is... I thought I had some out. They're buried underneath some of these... I know we have them. Jeez Louise. But if anything, it's in the French expansion. I didn't punch everything because that would take me another 3 hours to punch and organize everything. So I'm leaving everything inside of their package. But I need the one for Vive la France. There's Japan. Is this the French one? It's Hellenistic. This is Italy. Oh, come on. Italy, aces. This one is experimental. UK. There we go. Finally found it. I'm pretty sure it's in the French one. The Durandal. Oh, come on. It is not. So what is he? This is a U.S. pilot. So we have Durandal somewhere. Let's see, M117R, MK82, Type 21, Type 25, target pods. Jeez Louise. R530, R550. It's so infuriating that they have everything double-sided like this, where you can't just rely on... Okay, I'll pause. Okay, I already had them sorted out. The Durandal is this, which is very interesting. It's 3 weight points. It gets a +5 against airfields on its own. So with the runway breaker, you get a +5 more, so that means you're guaranteed to roll 10. So basically, you're going to hit. Now, here's the thing. Look at those dashes. Does that mean... I've never seen dashes before. And they intentionally put the dashes in a slash, which I think it means that it doesn't matter what you roll, you hit. It's an automatic hit. I don't know if they should have just put ones in there, but in my understanding, that's saying that you're going to hit 1, 2, 3 times. And then you have to roll an 11 to hit 4 times against that airfield. That's how I interpret that. And if any of you know any better, let me know. I've never seen the dashes. The rule book does not cover what the dashes mean. It's just that, to me, they would not have put the dashes in there if it wasn't an automatic hit. Because what the rule book does say is anything less than the first number is a miss, right? Second number is a hit. Third number is another hit, right? Or anything less than the first number is a miss. Then it's the next hit, and then third hit, and then this would be a weapon that could potentially do 4 hits. So since they're dashes, you automatically, like a dash to me means it's not applicable, but if it's not applicable, it should just say 11 on it and nothing else. But it doesn't do that. So I think it automatically hits 3 times, and then if you're going to hit a 4th time, that's where the 11 comes in. But anyways, please let me know. That's why the +5 and the +5 again, really matters for this. And by the way, they're on the opposite side of the gun pods, which is why I couldn't find them so easily. I had those shoved aside as unimportant, but I didn't pay attention to what's on the other side of them. And maybe I just missed it, and it is in the rule book, but just take any other weapon, really. The Mavericks here. So that it's an 8 or 11. Anything below an 8's a miss. An 8 is 1 hit, and 11 is 2 hits, right? Well, you don't need to put dashes in to represent misses. I think the dashes just mean that no matter what you hit. I guess maybe I would have put 1s or 0s because you're guaranteed to roll 1. I mean, I guess with negative modifiers, you could roll less than a 1. I didn't consider that. So if that's the case, yeah, the dashes are the only way to guarantee that it's going to be a hit. Okay, so with that out of the way, the 1,000 hours, the runway breaker automatic, the targeting pod expert, So targeting pods, they let you get +1 air to ground. And they cost 1 weight point here. Let me do this so the camera focuses better. And if you're a targeting pod expert, then what that means is that it costs 0 weight points to equip it, and it gives you a +2. I just think that's phenomenal. So for 0 weight points, I can equip this, and it's just basically going to be permanently on my thing, and I just get a +2. So now my air to ground is +5. And with a bomber, I mean, as much as like with the AIM 7s or whatever, a 6 is all you need to hit. Although there might be some bandits that have a -2 on them, right? I mean, so just because I said it's a guaranteed hit, that's only assuming the bandit does not have any modifiers on it. In this case, I'm getting a +5 to my die roll, and to me that's phenomenal. And then on top of it with the runway breaker, and if I equip one of those whatever those are called again, the Norad bombs, you're looking at a +15. I mean, you don't even have to roll. You're just going to automatically do 4 hits. So, or maybe the dashes mean that you don't do anything unless you roll an 11, and then you get 4 hits. That could be what the dash means, and that's something, which means that you need these bonuses. All right, let's keep going. So next one is an experimental aircraft. Again, I paid 9 SO points, which I could have skipped, but this one, no weight point penalties. So those faraway missions, you can go do them and always be able to bring the full weight points. The only gripe I have with this one is I have him as a bomber type. That's what the yellow is for. But he can only carry conventional bombs, and that's it, and Mark 20s. He doesn't really offer anything. If he could do AGM-88s, that would have been awesome. But he could bring rockets, so if we want to do suppression or whatever with him, we probably can. I made him green because, you know, he's sort of a filler. And it's tough to justify spending 9 SO points for a filler, but that's what I just did. The attitude I had is that the weight point penalty, being able to ignore that could make him valuable for dropping bombs. Okay, we talked about all of our fighters already, so I'm skipping Merida, the Japan guy. And then next is Portugal, Silva, who is going to start off average with a +2 air to ground. He is the other Corsair we have. AGM-88s is going to be his specialty, and we gave him Wild Weasel. We also gave him Eficiencia, which means that we get 2 special weapons SO points every mission that he goes on, and it doesn't have to be equipped on him. So it's just, he's going to allow us to, and those Durandals, by the way, are special weapons. So if I want to get some Durandals, which had a weight point of 3, I'm realizing, this is only going to give me 2 points. So I'd have to spend 1 just for 1 Durandal. I mean, I may never get one now that I think about it. The only other special weapons are GBUs we can get. So I think the idea is right. Maybe the implementation is wrong. Now that we're getting 3 SO points back, maybe I can just hold on to it or give out another skill, but we'll see. Next up is another Aardvark. This one is from our Down Under, Australia, and we had to pay 9 SOs. Like, this I think is more worth it because you're getting the 12 weight points, and they can drop everything. And then of course we gave him targeting pod expert, just like the other guy. He's not at +3 yet because he's not a legendary like the other one was, but with the targeting pod expert, that gives him a +3 to start, and we'll take it. And he has 2 cool, which is really good. Very cool, in fact. Next is our other jammer. So we got another 111. This one's called Rogue, and you can see he's average, so he's promoted a little bit higher, but he's still really high on the stress. It does get much better as they level up, but in the beginning, it's going to be you're going to be babying them. And then last but not least, I took a Super Tomcat. This is another experimental one. This one gets +2 air to ground for anything range 1 or more. And the big thing is he can equip Mavericks, which are always a 1 or more range type of thing. So we could put a targeting pod on him, but I didn't give him the skill. I could give him the skill now, which would make his air to ground even more phenomenal. It would actually help him if he's dropping conventional bombs, because remember, this does not work for conventional bombs. So if you look at everything he has, it only works for Mavericks. That's the only thing that's +1 range away, is the Mavericks. Everything else, well, rockets. It would work for rockets. Rockets and Mavericks, those are the only ones. MK20s, all these MKs, you have to be over, it's a range 0 weapon. And then these are air-to-air, so those are useless. And I do find it interesting, it says AIM 54 here, and there are no AIM 54s in the game. That's the Phoenix. So very interesting that they put that in there. So you could argue is that worth 6 SO points to get a +2 air to ground just for Mavericks? I mean, part of me is like, yeah, maybe we should take this one out, actually. Like, I think this one's less useful than the air-to-air one, now that I'm looking at it from this perspective. If I get those 6 SO points back, and then those 3, that gives me 9. And then the 2, and then I'll start with 11. By the way, they raised the cost for R&R, priority R&R. It was 9 in Hornet Leader. It's 12 in this game. So maybe I should throw this guy out. I mean, again, like I said, only Mavericks. That's it. That's the only thing that +2 is going to work with. So it's like a really cool, like when you read it, you're like, holy crap, that's so good. But then if you sit down and look at everything, it's almost worthless. So, I mean, what good is Mavericks? Let's take a look at those real quick. Maybe we are poo-pooing the Maverick too quickly. Let's grab some Mavericks here. So, it's not the AGM-62, it's the AGM-65. Whoop, that's a targeting pod. I see some targeting pods are AGM-62s, some are AGM-65s. Very interesting. I definitely want the 62 targeting pod, not the 65 one. Anyways, here you go. Here's the 65s. Let me get that AGM-62 one locked up. Okay, so you can see here that against vehicles, it gets a +3 bonus. It can do 2 hits. It's got a range of 2, high or low, and it's 2 weight points. I mean, he can carry, how much can he carry? 8. So, assuming a no weight point penalty, he could carry at most 4 of these. He gets a +2, which he's going to need if he wants to hit with a 7 or better. Now, with the vehicle, that would make it a +5, which is super good. That was where my thoughts were. But yeah, I'm so short on SO points. Anyways, that's what we got for our Mavericks. We're definitely going to use them. There's going to be vehicles usually in every campaign. So what would we do if we got back those 6 SO points? And remember, we're actually getting back 9 because of that skill, the Wild Weasel skill here, which, to be quite honest, I think I need another plane that can shoot AGM-88s. I only have 2 in my whole lineup. Maybe Hornet Leader was too kind and gave us too many planes that can do that. Here, I'm really struggling. But what skills, am I eyeing up that I didn't get? Well, first of all, the Wild Weasel, like I said, is really good. The big one is NATO Tiger. So ignore all stress from mission zones if there's 3 or more on it. Also, I can take just straight up Commander, which lets my legendary guys give their experience points to someone else. In Corsair Leader, they automatically gave their experience points to someone else. I'm assuming in this game that since they gave you a skill called Commander, that you have to take the skill in order to give the experience points to someone else. But for 9 SO points, which I think is what we're going to end up with here, yeah, I can give all 3 of my legendary guys Commander, which then allows them, well, actually, no. Commander only gives SO points if they were the leader. So it doesn't work quite as, it's not as candy given as you would think. But anyways, I can get the other Portugal guy back. I had both Portugals in the game. Portugal, of course, being a Corsair, which is an AGM 88 guy. And then I can give the Portugal guy his Portugal skill, which gives us 2 SO points for free. You know, how badly do I need them? You know, not that badly, but I find that to be more useful. Yeah, we're going to do it. I don't think this guy, like, I love the idea of a +2 air to ground, but that's the only weapon that it's good for. All right, so let me pause and get this corrected. Okay, so what I did was I swapped them out. That saved me 6 SO points. And remember, I took away a skill that gave me 3, and I went with a Fighting Falcon. We don't have one of those, so let's try one. These Fighting Falcons look awesome. They can go air to air, they can go air to ground, they can shoot just about everything. Look at their armaments. They have tons of them. So remember, I saved 6 SO points, and I took the Wild Weasel off of that one. Well, I gave him the Wild Weasel, so that washes out. And then I gave him Targeting Pod Expert. He currently has a -1, even at Skilled, but by the time he's a Legendary, that turns into a +3. So it goes up dramatically, but even at Skilled level, it's poor right now. But we'll start with that, and we'll give him Targeting Pod Expert so he can get an extra bonus, and he can shoot AGM 88s, which is important. Being able to take out radar sites is so important. And then that gives me 3 net SO points. And being the fool that I am, instead of like keeping them, so I start the game with 5, I spent it. I took Commander, and I'm going to give it to Cortez, our Aardvark. So Cortez now has 4 skills. This is our Aardvark, but see, he has 3 SA points. So I always want him to be Flight Leader. And Commander, you have to be Flight Leader, and if you are, then his experience points, he gives it to someone else. And since he's a Legendary, he's not going to earn experience points, or they don't do him any good. So when he goes on missions, he can give his experience points to someone else and level them up. So I think that's going to be very handy. Okay, how much time does it take to get the dang game going? A lot. And I know we covered a lot of stuff, but as far as like special everything else, I'll pull the campaign map up whenever we need it. Let me move the camera up actually, so you can see here. The only thing special is we got the Canadian pilot. So Hansen has joined our crew. He doesn't count. We started with the 32 SO points, like I said. The special weapons, there's only 2. Let me move this up some more and zoom it in. So you can see it's the Durandal and the GBUs. We can take the Mark 82s, which are a bomb, one type of bomb. Which ones are the 82s? Oh, where are you? So they're the single weight point bombs, these guys. So that hits with a 7 or a 10. Those are not the really good ones. I usually like to take the 2 weight point ones, but those are the only ones available. AIM 9s, the Harms, the AGM 88s, the Sparrows, the Sidewinders, the Maverick, which is why that other plane might have been helpful. rockets, ECM pods, fuel tanks, walleye, and Mark 20. That's it. It's a very short list of weapons that we're allowed to use. Now you might be wondering, well, hey, targeting pod's not in there. Targeting pod and fuel tanks, and those are always allowed. The fact that it even lists the ECM pod, I don't understand why. There was a DVG post on Board Game Geek explaining that those are, even if it's not listed, they're always available. So maybe they were inconsistent with some of their campaigns and how they wrote things. But those are always available. Anything that, like, there is no technology reason why those things are not available. Just like the gun pods are available. If you want to put a gun pod on something that doesn't have a gun normally, those are always options, regardless of what you see listed there for standard weapons. And even if they're not, I'm house ruling that it is. So, anyways, here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started. One thing I realize I need to do is I got to get my target deck sorted. You can see there, it's target 7 and 8, which, and then it's 37 through 50. So if this is your first time playing a leader game, it's real simple. Your targets should always be in order, right? So you go to 7 and 8, so this is our number order. So you find 7 and 8, and then it says 37 to 50. So we just jump all the way up to 37. And basically it's saying all the targets from 37 through 50 are in. So we got the rest of these targets, they're out of the game. So we just keep them in their numerical order because it'll make it easier for cleanup later. And we're going to go ahead and set these off to the side. And we take these targets and we shuffle. And remember, we have to draw until we get an improvement. So once I'm done shuffling here, all right, so let's see. So this is a scramble. Remember, we're not drawing yet for the mission, so that would have been a horrible one to get first. I'm assuming it'll say improvement here at the bottom. Are there any improvements in this? Okay, I'm almost out of card. Here's the first one, improvement. Bandits gain +1 to attack rolls. Bonus, discard 1 improvement target if we destroy this. So this is active right now at the start. That was our penalty for getting the 15 SO points. So they're going to get a +1 to their attack rolls. And it looks like this one is it's an air objective. I'm just shuffling the cards again. All right, so we begin. If anybody could kindly put an hour and 18 minutes into like as a timestamp for folks who just want to jump straight to the gameplay. And my apologies, there's so much game to be played before it even starts. Like picking your pilots is a huge part of this game. Anyways, the sequence of operations, if you've never played this before, you just start here and you go down. We're going to go through step by step and make sure that I get acclimated. This is a leader game, which is a lot of similarities, but there's some differences. And to be quite honest, that's a trap. Admiral Akbar level, because sometimes you think you understand it all and you don't. But step 1 is draw target cards. How many target cards do you get to draw? Well, you get to draw as many as your recon value, which is right here. And then as this moves to the right, the recon value is going to change. Right now, the recon value is 2, so we can draw 2 cards. it's a can and a may. It's not a must. So this card is active, meaning that this is a mission that we can go on now. And because of the operational surprise, this thing that I chose to affect our campaign, it's impacting us now. And for every turn or day, so on any campaign day, every campaign day is this campaign is 9 days long. So every day is one set of missions. You can do a primary and a secondary. Now, what does a secondary mean? The target has to say secondary on it in order for you to be allowed to go on as a secondary mission. This one, for example, is a primary mission because there's no keyword secondary anywhere written on it. 5 aircraft go on this, which is a sizable chunk. I mean, I only have 13, so it's roughly half. But remember, my E-111s don't count. So if I bring an E-111 along, that's 6 aircraft out of my 13. That's half my squad. And since I don't have priority R&R, which is a way to... So let me back up. Your pilots are going to gain stress as they go on missions. And priority R&R is a way to reduce stress. Well, if a pilot doesn't go on a mission for that day, they reduce stress automatically. So you want roughly half your pilots to not go on a mission anyways, so they can rest up for the next time. But in order to score victory points, you need to go primary and secondary. So it's a balancing act. This has an improvement that is penalizing us. So I want to get rid of it. So I'm choosing not to draw any target cards, and we're going to choose this as our mission. And when we do that, we're going to put it here, but I need to read it first before I put it there. So it's going to show the number of sites that are going to be around it. So the target's going to go here, and the sites are going to go in these different boxes around it. And then there's going to be bandits, which is just enemy airplanes. That's going to be around it as well. And then there's the actual objective itself, which is the card. Now, if it's like a building or something, then it'll show the number of hits that you need to do to the building. What this is saying is this is basically we're going after their ECMs. So this is they have an AWAC, and we're going to go after that. So the objectives is 2 A50s. There's -1 turn for this, meaning that normally we get 5 turns. We're only going to get 4 turns to finish our objective. What else does it say? Bandits are going to get +1 to their attack rolls. And if we defeat this, we get a bonus of discarding an improvement card. There aren't any more. Like if there was, improvement cards stack up. Until you finally defeat them, they're going to constantly penalize you. This would let me eliminate another one. I don't get the victory points for it. I just get to get rid of it. If I ever discard a target, by the way, you can eventually get it back once you go through your deck. They're not gone forever. They're just discarded for now. This will give me 3 victory points, and it'll move our intel track and infrastructure track 1 to the right if I succeed. Now, those tracks that I'm referring to are these tracks up here. So we have a recon, which we just used, and then the intel is the middle track, and then the infrastructure is the bottom track. Infrastructure is about hitting the primary target. So like if it's a bridge or whatever, those -1s that you see there are the number of hits get reduced. So it takes 1 less hit to succeed. Then the intel track, you can see we're being penalized. So there's going to be 1 extra bandit on the mission. Okay, so the objective here is 2 A50s. And I don't know what an A50 is in this game. We have these bomber tokens. So I'm going to look in here real quick and see if there's an A50 in here. I see a Yak 28, a 38. Actually, this goes in the cup. Yak 38, MiG 27s. Oh, here we go. There's an A50. And that means another one's in here. Or no, I learned this from the last time. There's 2 of them on one side and 1 of them on the other. So there's 2 A50s, which just means 1 token. So I'm going to go ahead and put that. That's the primary target. And it will never leave the center, the A50s. They don't pursue you or do anything. They will shoot at you if you're in range, if they have the ability to. These do not. We're basically going after AWAC style planes. Okay, we drew our cards. We select primary and secondary, which is step 2. We chose primary only. You know what? I could draw 2 more cards. Here's the risk. If we get a card that says scramble on it, I have to do that instead of this. You know what? Let's do it. Let's draw 1. So here's a small dogfight. It's just against 5 bandits. That's a pretty cool target, but I'm going to discard it. We're not going to do that one. And then the next one I'm going to draw again, because remember we had a recon of 2. Oh my gosh. Now that's a really juicy target there. But again, it's not secondary. And actually, I'm going to just peek through the deck. Are there any secondaries? I always like to know, how many secondaries are we talking about? There's not one secondary in the entire deck. Unless the rules changed. In Hornet Leader, the secondaries were specifically spelled out. Let me check. Maybe that's another change with Eagle Leader. Okay, I reshuffled all the targets. We would not have drawn any, because you are allowed to look at your targets before you start the campaign. There's not a single secondary in the target deck. And it made me wonder, like, is there a secondary in any of the targets? And the answer is yes. These targets are not in our game, and it only took a few right here. See that keyword secondary? That would be an idea of a secondary target. This target stack for this particular campaign are all primary missions and nothing else. So there's no reason to draw more cards right now. We have our objective, and we know we can't do a secondary mission. So that's it. That's what we're going to do. It's a little wimpy, but it's a standard thing. The next thing you want to look at is the target number is 48. And then you come over here to the campaign sheet, and you got to find the number 48. I'm not a big fan of the Comic Sans, because these numbers play tricks on my eyes. I think I see 48 right there. And they give you this thing called a target token. So I can put it right there to show that that's our target. It's just a reminder of where our target is, so I don't have to keep finding it for forgetful memories. Now, what's important? Like, why are these red lines going across? The most important thing is right here. It says waypoint, and then it says -1, and then it has an S with a colon and a 2. I hate the font. I really do. But basically, there's a waypoint penalty of 1, and everybody's going to get 2 stress for this mission. Because the further away you go from home base, the more stressful the mission is, and the more fuel you need to have, and so therefore the less ammunition you can bring. So waypoint penalty of 1 and stress of 2. That's a given. Now, JB here with his red flag vet, or is it one of these guys? Who has the 2,000 hours? Nacho. Nacho has 2,000 hours. So he gets to ignore the stress. So that 2 stress that everybody's going to get, he won't get it if he goes on this mission. But I don't think I need him for this mission, because this is air-to-air. So we're going to bring in our air-to-air guys. And I'm going to bring our Fighting Falcon along, even though he has a targeting pod and blah, blah, blah. He can still do really well. Those F-16s they're quite nice. It should have been Fighting Falcon leader more than Eagle leader, but the F-16s are quite nice, and so we're gonna bring that along as an air-to-air, because I gotta leave one air-to-air guy behind for tomorrow. So that way these 3 that I'm going to bring, well, heck, it says 5. Ay, ay, ay. So whoever I bring, okay, yeah, we can do this. We can do this. So I can bring, well, if I'm bringing 5, it means I'm bringing just about everybody. I'm bringing the house. And they're all going to get stress. And it's going to be a little problematic, but I think we're going to be okay. So let's play it out, and I'll show you why. I'm going to move some stuff around. Okay, so I use the right side here to lay out my pilots and how they're equipped. We do have, I mean, if I bring this along like this, it's just too big. So what I like to do is just set them up. So we have stool here. That is the wrong pilot. Okay, I found them. We have stool here, which I use this style to represent my play. And stool has, see, he has no SA points. So we don't put anything there, but he has a +2 air-to-air, and that's what he's going to be used for in this mission. If you're using him for air-to-air and air-to-ground, you can represent that. But I put this 2. I know this is a stress counter, but this represents that he gets a +2 to his roll, air-to-air. And then he has 8 weight points, but it's now reduced to 7. And this game only lets us take aim 9s and aim 7s. So I have a whole bunch of these. And so we're just going to load them up. And I'm going to give him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they're all going to be aim 7s. I'm getting a little sloppy here just because I hate how much time it takes to do this. So he has 8 weight points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 is a penalty for the mission. I mean, he alone could probably win this mission, but first of all, before I get ahead of myself, we chose the target. We're supposed to determine and place sights. This target has 0 sights. That's why we skipped that. And now I'm assigning pilots, and then I have to arm them, which is what you're seeing me do. So I skipped ahead a few steps, but we're on track. We didn't, skip anything relevant. So my first pilot is Stool, and you can see none of his skills that we bought for him are relevant because we actually got Stool for more air-to-ground, but right now he's going to support the air-to-air. Next up is Prejudice. So we're going to bring Prejudice into the mix. And Prejudice has the +2 air-to-air for all range 1, and he has a +3 and no SA, right? So we put him over there, and put the camera back, like so. So he actually gets a +5, assuming that it's not range 0, right? It's got to be range 1 or better. So I'm running a 5 next to him. And then his weight points are 6, so he gets a penalty of 1. So you got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm giving him all aim 7s as well. Now, why don't I ever do aim 9s? Aim 9s are the range 0 ones. Aim 7s, you can see, are 0 is hidden. So it's got to be, and 2 is the max. So it's a 1 or 2 range. The enemy bandits don't try to dogfight you. So they don't approach you to go to 0. Enemy bandits get as close as they can and then attack you at whatever their maximum range is. So the aim 7s tend to work. Now, I obviously never played this game. If there's some bandit that's in here that has aim 0, that would change things. But I'm going off of Hornet Leader experience when I do this. Now for this particular pilot, he only wants aim 7 because those are the only ones that get his bonus to his die roll. So we don't want him. But like Stu here, we could have changed one of these to an aim 9 or something if we really wanted to be cautious. And so anyways, we're going to go ahead and proceed with that. Next up is Marita. And Marita is this guy with no SA. He has a +2 air-to-air, but he has an aggressor, which makes it +3. So we can grab this, put a 3 on him, and then he has a weight point of 8. So just like the other ones, he can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the next one, so that's 3 pilots. The 4th pilot, we're going to bring JB. And he has a +2 and aggressor, which makes it +3. And then he has the Norad bonus, which is going to give him a +3 against this target. So JB is going to have a huge advantage against that. And then he has the red flag, which I think just prevents him from being killed. Or he can downgrade a damage to stress. His weight points is 8, so he can take 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And, you know, I've been putting them side by side, but since they're all the same, you can just pile them up. So you can just stack them just like that. All right, that's 4 pilots. We still could bring another one. So I'm going to bring Hansen, our Canadian. He's going to come along, and he has an air-to-air of +2. So we'll give him a 2. And his weight point is 8, so he can also take 7. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Some initial thoughts. The fact that the munitions are so limited in this campaign, like it's a very short list, makes it really boring. Like every plane I bring is just bringing the same munitions because there's no other munitions to choose from. So I'm not a big fan of that in particular. I am a fan that I'm playing something new. That part's nice. And then this is a support craft, so it doesn't count against the limit. We're going to bring along Druid. He's our green dude. His spoof, deny, and enhance are all more stress than he can handle. But we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we armed our aircraft. Basically, we're armed to the hilt with anti-air missiles. There are no ground targets for this, unless some event card really ruins our day. And then we come back over here, and we draw the... We should have drawn another... Draw a target-bound event card. Oh, there we go. Over target. Yeah, so we're going to draw a target-bound event card. So that's just the top of the event card deck. And there's going to be 3 sections always. The target-bound event card is the top section. The other 2, this would be the over target, and then this is the return. This, we're going to get an extra experience point. Randomly select and remove 1 aircraft from the mission. Oh, that's an interesting thing. I don't want to try to remove this event, so we're going to go ahead and go with it. So I'm going to take a 6-sided die. We have 6 pilots, so it's just 1 through 6, starting from the top. I got the 5th, so Hansen is out. Now, what it doesn't say is if I remove him from the mission, does he still get experience points for it? And I have no clue. I would assume no. Because he's removed from the mission. He just doesn't leave early. So Hansen gets removed, but we're going to get an extra experience point for everybody else. That's the way I interpret that. So I'm going to set this off to the side because we don't want to forget that we get the experience point. But now we're down to 4. I still think we're going to be okay, personally. I mean, we are going to draw a lot of bandits. And there is one less turn, but I still think we're okay. Hansen was just extra anyways. Okay, so going back to our steps here, we drew the target bound event card. Now we place our aircraft and choose the altitude. Low or high, it doesn't matter. There's no sights. Now, one thing that you'll see me do is I like to, that's high and that's low. I don't put all the pilot tokens on the map. I just, like, technically you could have some pilots going high, some going low. I mean, we could do it all over here, right? So I could set this to high, I could set that to low. It doesn't matter. There's no sights. It's more important if there were sights. Why does it matter? Whatever. Well, first of all, you look at your munitions. We can shoot them high or low. The range is the same. So it doesn't matter there. And then the enemy bandits, let me just grab one out of the thing. I mean, they're going to be able to hit you high or low as well. And you can see over here the high-low. I don't think there's any such thing. I mean, obviously this game's brand new to me, but I don't think there'd be any such thing as a bandit that can only hit high or only hit low. But the sights are different. If we look at some of the sights, and I'm just grabbing, like this as an example, this sight here only hits low. It does not hit high. So you may want to fly high to avoid it, for example. All right. So we placed our aircraft, we chose our altitude. Our altitude is going to be high. And now we determine and place bandits. So the key thing with all these leader games is you know what the sights are. Like the land targets are going to be pre-positioned, because we flew over with a satellite or whatever. But now we're going to draw the bandits. So you can see there's 1 on the approach and 3 on the center. So what that means is we're going to draw 1 for every approach. There's a north, south, east, and west. So that means there's going to be 4 total drawn. Then we'll draw 3 more for the center. That they're going to join these bombers that are already at the center. Okay? All right. So let's get busy. So we just take up our bandit cup here. And by the way, all the bandit counters go in here, except for there are some bomber counters. And you know if it's a bomber counter because there's no sights on the other side. A bomber counter is going to be just 2 planes and 1 plane, right? That's the same thing on both sides. That's a bomber counter. All right, so here we go with the bandits. So first bandit. So we draw the first one. See, this is the sight. And so we flip it over, and there we go. We got a MiG. This is a horrible one to start the game with. Next one, we get an Su-22. Third, and by the way, my style is I always start at 9 o'clock and work my way around. So if I don't announce it, that's my intention. And then here's my last one. See, I drew a no bandit, so there's no bandit there. That just means our intel was off. And we estimated a bandit when there wasn't one, and here's the first. There's the second. And here's the third. So we drew 2 no bandits out of that. That's not bad. Okay, so I basically placed us in the south, so we're going to be approaching from the south. Let's look at what we drew here. This is our target. We win the mission if we destroy this. These guys are all going to try to kill us. This one has a range of 1. This has a range of 3. We are 1, 2, 3 from the center. So anybody in the center with a range 3 can hit us. And so that means this one's a threat. I'm going to move this over here. This one is a threat. And that one's a threat. This one up here is not a threat because it's just a range 1. It will be later, but right now we don't have to worry about them. But right now we have 3 of them that's going to shoot at us, and one of them is going to get a free shot before we even get to go. That's the Foxhound thing. So next thing we do is Intel Air Defense Adjustment. Well, the Intel Air Defense Adjustment is going to give us a +1 bandit. So we're going to draw yet another one. So we got this. Oh, we got another 3. I'm assuming it's going over the center. It doesn't say. Now we draw our over target defense card. All pilots act as fast on turn 1. That's an excellent card to get for this first mission. So what does that mean, to go fast? Well, once the combat starts, fast pilots go first, then the enemy goes, and then the slow pilots go. So the enemy is always in the middle of fast versus slow. And the only people that can be fast are us. So we're either fast or we're slow. Now we have these situational awareness points that we can sometimes spend, which one of our pilots does have, and I forgot to represent it. These allow us to go fast even if we're normally slow. That's what this allows you to do. And when you use situational awareness, you can go you're going fast and slow. You get to actually go twice in that turn. And now, if you're already a fast pilot, you could still use the situational awareness to go during the slow phase, because you're either going in the fast and not going during slow, or going in slow and not going during fast. Situational awareness lets you to go both fast and slow. That's basically what it lets you do. And the one pilot that has situational awareness is JB. And JB would be our mission leader, so he can use it on himself or he can give it to someone else. And I represent that like so. All right, so let's keep going here. So now we do the Foxhound ER attack. And I think, if I understood the rules correctly, that this guy gets a free pot shot at us. Let me make sure it's not the other ones, because if it's the other ones too, this is going to be miserable. This would be the target bound phase, page 36. Enemy MiG-31 Foxhound bandits will conduct an attack this step against any of your aircraft within range. I'm assuming that says MiG-31. Oh, it's not a MiG-31. That's a 25, 29, 29S. No, none of them are MiG-31s. Okay. Now we're cooking. I thought anything with range 4 was MiG-31. That is not the case. And it specifically says it has to be MiG-31. Hey, that makes me feel a lot better. Yeah, it shows a picture of it. Oh, and it even has a little A on it to show that it attacks during the Foxhound step. Okay. So when we find one, we'll definitely show you what it looks like. But here, I can show you on at least the rule book picture. So on the rule book, let me put this down so I can have both hands free. So this right here, see, obviously, well, first of all, it says MiG-31. You see that little A there? That shows that it attacks during the Foxhound step. And if you want to look more closely, you can see that none of these are MiG-31s. That has a range of 4, like the MiG-31, but it's not a MiG-31. Okay, so that means none of them attack us. This is even better. Okay, all of our pilots get to go fast because of the event. That means we all get to go before they go, which sounds fantastic, but our weapons only have a range of 2. Now, from where we're at, we can go through this bucket and get to this guy. And I can go through this bucket and get to this guy, but I can't get anybody in the center. And there's 2 guys in the center that can hit us. So that's not good for us. But it's what we dealt with, and the fact that there's no aim. If I had aim 192s, or aim 120s I meant to say. I don't know why I keep saying 192. Aim 120, I would have been able to shoot everything. But that's not the way this is going to work. So then we place the turn counter in turn 1, and we begin. First step, fast craft attack. All of us are fast. JB does not need to use his situational awareness. So everybody's going to get to shoot at something. Well, I got this guy here who has a +5 to his roll, right? So I'm going to have him go first. And I can choose only this target or that target. So I'm going to choose the one with the hardest to hit, which is this one, because this one, you can see in the top left corner, says +0. So what does it take to hit? I need to roll a 6. Well, Prejudice here gets a +5 to his roll. So even if I roll a 1, I'm going to hit. And I mean, this is just semantics, but I roll a 2, which is a horrible roll. But I add 5 to it, and that gets me to a 7. And so I successfully take out this target right here. Now, it's probably best that if you take out targets, you just set them off to the side in case you need to count them later. If you ever need to draw from the cup, you don't want to put them back in the cup. If some event makes you draw from the cup, then you don't want to draw the same thing you just killed. All right. So the other thing is, I was going to say something else here, but oh yeah, you can choose a pilot, take their turn, see the outcome before you decide what the next pilot's going to shoot at. So I did not have to say, hey, this pilot's going to shoot at this one, that one's going to shoot at that one. You don't have to declare everything. You just go one at a time. You pick a pilot, you take their turn. So I took my turn, I took out that bandit, so now every other pilot can just focus on this one. Okay, so now I'm looking at all my stuff here, and I don't think anybody gets a bonus above or beyond the other. And so I'm going to have Stool go. He gets a +2. He will shoot, and it's a 6 for all of them. The big difference is I'm going to get a +2. But here's the key difference. This guy here, see how he has +1 on the top left corner here, right where my thumb is pointing? That means I get a +1 to my die roll. So I rolled an 8. That makes it a +1 for 9. And then because Stool gets a +2, and, you know, again, for those of you that are new, he gets a +2 from, oh, that's not Stool. Which one's Stool? This one is Stool. Stool gets a +2 from that. So that becomes an 11. I only needed a 6. So the 8 itself was more than enough to destroy it. And then just in case you're keeping track, 2 of the munitions have been spent, and we destroyed another bandit. Everybody else is out of our range because we can only shoot 2 spaces away. So I can't do anything about the guys in the middle. So even though they all get to go fast, there's nothing else for me to do. So now the bandits get to go, and these 2 are going to go, and they're going to shoot us. There's nothing I can do to stop it. I do have ECM jammers, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, blue is the top one. That was a perfect roll. Blue is the top one, brown is the bottom one. And we're going to try to ECM jam them. And actually, I know some of you are going to be crying foul. I forgot. Everybody's has an ECM pod, so that means they would have one less aim 7. And this is automatic, folks. You know, from my Hornet Leader playthroughs, I don't mess around with my guys. I bring ECM pods with everybody. So they would all have an ECM pod. Now, Druid does not get an ECM pod. So that's the most annoying thing ever, because now it means I got to roll to see who they're targeting first. Because if they're targeting Druid, I can't do an ECM roll. So anyways, we now have 5 targets because there's only 5 pilots left. So starting with the top guy, he's targeting number 2, and the bottom guy is targeting number 2. So they're both going after Prejudice. So I get to ECM jam both of them with my ECM pod. Now the ECM pod has a 6 on it. So all that means is if I roll a 6 or better, we jam them and they don't get to shoot at us. So here we go. So that's a 10. That was the top one, but the bottom one was not jammed. So this guy was mitigated. This one is still coming through. All right, next option I have is we can use Druid here to spoof them. If I'm willing to take 4 stress, I can spoof it and make it attack Druid instead. And then it gets a -5 to its die roll. I'm going to choose not to do that. We're going to go ahead and let him roll, and I'm going to do evasion though. Evasion causes you to gain 1 stress. So I'm going to take 1 stress marker, and we're going to give it the Prejudice here. So let me grab it. So this is Prejudice. So he's going to gain 1 stress. And I'm going to put that there. If he ever gets more than 5 stress, then his parameters change to shaken. So one thing that's important to point out here is in Hornet Leader, you gain 2 stress unless you have an ECM pod equipped. If you have an ECM pod, you gain 1. In this game, and I just verified it in the rulebook, you gain 1 stress whether you have an ECM pod or not. And why am I taking the stress? Because I'm going to try to evade his attack. So I'm doing evasive maneuvers. So what does that do mechanically? Mechanically, we're going to roll 2 dice, and he's only going to apply the worst one. So it improves our odds of surviving this. So I rolled a 7, and then the other one is a 5. So we're going to use the 5, and the 5, as you can see here, it says 3, 6, 9. So a 5 means that we're going to gain a stress. That first number gives you a stress. The second number damages the plane, which would cause you to lose all your munitions. And the third number is we're destroyed. So a 10 would have been horrible. But we're going to gain another stress. So I'm going to flip his 1 stress to 2. So he took 2 stress from that attack. But we survive everything. There's nothing left. So now we keep going. The slow aircraft get to attack. All of our aircraft got to go fast, so there's no slow to be had. And also, nobody's in range, so it doesn't matter. So next thing up is we get to move and adjust our altitude. So I'm going to move forward 1. So now we're in range of all of them. This one is going to move forward 1, so he's in range. And this one will move forward 1. He is still not in range of us. So we have 3 of them threatening us for turn 2. So we move to turn 2. Okay, again, fast pilots attack. Right now, JB is fast. So And we know that because it says it right here. So JB can go fast. He can use his situational awareness to help somebody else to go fast. And so he's going to have Prejudice go fast with him, because Prejudice gets the best die roll. So JB is going to use 1 aim 7, and so is Prejudice. So they're each going to shoot 1 in their fast attack. We're going to start with Prejudice, because Prejudice doesn't need to roll against this guy. So we're going to go ahead and take him out. And then we're going to, oh no. Look at these, look at this. See these two? I took out the bottom one. You see why we need to take out the top one? The top one has lower numbers, meaning that it's easier for him to hit us. We're going to take out the top one. So now I'm going to have JB go. And you know what? I'm going to have him shoot 2 missiles, not 1. So we're going to spend 2 of them. I'm going to let us roll 2 dice. JB gets a +3. And good thing I did, because that 3 + 3 is a 6. This is a 5. The 5 would have missed, but the 6 does hit, so we do get this guy as well. So we took 2 of them out. Now JB spent his 1 SA point in doing so, so I'm just going to spend it, and it's gone. Now JB and Prejudice do get to go again during the slow phase, but the whole reason you want to go fast is I was able to take those out, and now this guy is the only one able to hit us. And so he's going to do exactly that. So let's roll to see who he's shooting at. He's going to shoot at Norad, and I am still not going to use my Druid to ECM jam anything. So we're going to have Norad roll an ECM, and I rolled a 5, which is not enough. So Norad is going to have to take a stress. And then Norad will make a roll 2 dice, and we rolled 2 2s, which is excellent. This thing only hits on a 4, so we don't even gain a stress for that, just the 1 stress for the evasion. Okay, so now they finish their turn. Why? Because this guy's out of range still. He still can't hit us. So now we go to the slow phase, and everybody still gets to go, because, well, JB does not get to go, because JB went during the fast phase. He gave the situational awareness to Prejudice. So Prejudice can go during the slow phase, and he will. And he is going to shoot at the one in the back and take this one out. All right, so that's his shot. And I'm not rolling because it's an automatic hit. And these guys have a +2 on them, which makes them even easier to hit, right? So that's why I left this one for somebody else to take care of. Now, JB can't go. We got Norad and we have Stool. Stool gets a +2 to his die roll. So Stool is going to spend 2 weapons. He's going to shoot twice. Because I want to make sure I take that guy out. We don't want him to stay alive for next round. So we're going to have Stool go. We rolled 2 8s. It was a little bit of an overkill, but we made sure it's done. Now all that's left is the target. Norad is still available, so he's going to shoot 2. Now, I can only kill 1 at a time. I'm going to shoot 2 to make sure I at least kill the 1. I do get a +2 to my die roll. So that 6 is more than enough to hit. So we reduce the bombers down to 1. So these 2 were just to kill 1 of those bombers. It takes 2 separate attacks to kill both of those bombers. All right, so that's everybody. And now we go to turn 3. There are no enemies left on the board to worry about. It doesn't matter if we go fast or slow. JB is going to go. He gets a +3 against bombers with his skill. So we don't even need to roll because he gets a 3 already. But that 1, which is a horrible roll, he adds +3 because he gets a +3. And then his skill, just to remind you, he has the Norad vet skill. So he has this Norad vet. That gives him another +3 against bombers. So that gives him a 7 for his roll. And so this bomber also adds +2 to his roll because they're pretty easy to take out. And it is peanut butter toast. So objective complete. A little bit of a stressful mission, but all in all, I mean, even losing the one plane, I mean, 5 planes on this mission was way more than we needed. So I was actually very comfortable with losing one. The biggest issue is just, you know, those bandits, if they get to a heck first, they can really do a number on you. So we succeeded. So we come back over here, and we now are homebound. So we draw the homebound event card, and then we resolve search and rescue only if one of us got destroyed, which thank goodness didn't happen. And then we'll do the mission debriefing in a moment. So let's do the homebound, which is now the bottom one. So it says each pilot takes an additional stress. So that blows chunks, but it is what it is. So, okay, so now we're going to do the mission debriefing phase. And you can do the 1 stress now, but really this is where we apply the stress. So it says record mission outcome, victory points, recon, intel, infra, and special option points, add mission stress to pilots, and record experience and stress. That's exactly everything. And then we do stress recovery, blah, 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 calculate victory points, promote pilots, etc. Okay, so what I like to do is we get out our sheet now, and we're going to put here for number 1, we're doing target 48. So I'm going to write 48 in the box. That's the target. And then we destroyed the target. So down at the bottom, I'm putting an X to show that we destroyed the target, right? We did not spend any SO points. So we still have 2 SO points remaining. The victory points that we earned is 3. So I write that at the bottom. And then I like to write below that, this is a cumulative total for the whole campaign. So obviously they're equal right now. That's how much we earned for the day. This is how much total we have. Okay, so if you remember, the campaign map had 2 stress written on it. So everybody's going to get 2 stress for doing the mission. Then that event card is going to add 1 more to make it 3. And then we get an experience point for participating in the mission always. We get another experience point for destroying the target and not having any lost aircraft. So that's 2 experience points. And then we get a 3rd one because we randomly removed an aircraft from the mission. So we're going to get 3 experience points and 3 stress for every pilot. And I'm using a harder surface, so I can shove some stuff aside and actually right in front of you here instead of having to write on my table. The other thing we do is, oh, I forgot, large. What does that keyword mean? Hopefully I didn't screw up and because I didn't do whatever large does. Large to me seems like it'd be easier to hit. That's a keyword I don't see very often. I'm looking, sorry. What the heck? I don't see the word large anywhere. Bandit, airfield, armor, artillery, big. I see big. Bonus, command, dispersed, fixed, friendly fire, naval. Infantry, improvement, hard, overkill, penalty, reference, small, scramble, secondary, soft, strike, and vehicle. I see large nowhere. Well, here's what I will tell you, is that big says that all targets get a +1 modifier. So, or you get a +1 modifier against the target. So if anything, large would have made it even easier in my book. Maybe you get a +1 against the aircraft. I just think that the aircraft already has the +2 written on them, so there's probably a reason why the large was not necessary. But it's typical DVG that they put these dang keywords on, and then it's not even in the rule book. This is the stuff that infuriates people. And then, of course, we get the Ben Chi, talks about how the cards only have, 6 errors out of the 1,000 cards. It doesn't matter. I mean, it just, like, why would you use a keyword that's not in the rule book? Anyways, we did have that they gained a +1 to their attack rolls. I think we rolled a 5 when a 6 would have damaged us. Yeah, I think that's true. So I would have been damaged. We would have still been fine, but it definitely would have shuffled some things around. So basically, Prejudice would have lost all of his ammunition because he got damaged. And since he got damaged, he would take 2 stress. So I'm going to give Prejudice 2 more stress. So he's currently at 4, and that's before we do the end of mission stuff. So my apologies there. We're retconning a little bit. When Prejudice was attacked by one of the bandits, we rolled a 5. We rolled 2 dice to evade. And in the lowest dice, we rolled a 7 and a 5, if I remember correctly. And a 6 for that bandit. In fact, we got all the bandits over here. It was this guy right here. So see, a 5 is left of the 6 there. So that meant that he gets 1 extra stress. But because we rolled the 6, he actually gets damaged, which means they hit him. So he loses all of his munitions. He has to spend them all. Now, you might argue, okay, well, hold on. You used him to attack a few bandits with JB's special action point. I would have used somebody else. And when he did his attack and we rolled 2 8s, I mean, that part all works out. We had plenty of munitions to shoot everything 3 times over. So not worried about that. What I am adjusting is that he does get the 2 stress. Now, here's the deal. We gave him 1 stress because we thought he had a 5. Because he's damaged, he gets 2 stress. So it's only a net of 1 more. So he's currently sitting with 3 instead of 2. And let me make sure that Eagle Leader didn't change the rules, because sometimes they do. It's usually 2 stress when you get hit like this, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. And I apologize. We knew that they got the +1, and I didn't, I mean, if anything, maybe I should have spoofed them. I probably should have spoofed them. All right. I wish they had it more, like they have a player help sheet, but none of this stuff is, they do have the going evasive. But they don't have what happens when you get hit. All right. So if you're damaged, yeah, you add 2 stress to the pilot. And then they lose all their equipment, including the ECM pod. So we're good. It all is fine. It's just that was the one change we needed to adjust for. Okay, let's go back to regular programming here. Infrastructure and intel both move by 1. And then this target is destroyed. So I'm going to move this up. We're going to put this here to show that we destroyed that target. The infrastructure moves up by 1. So now we get a -1. And the intel moves up by 1. No change, but we're closer to goodness. Those are the 2 markers I want to move up quickest. The recon, I'm okay with a 2. I don't need that to be any better. Okay, so now we're just going to go through one at a time. I have all my pilots over here on the left, so what I'm going to do is just grab them one at a time. First one up is Stool. I always imagine like the end of Star Wars, like where Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. They're all like walking up, almost like it looks like almost like a wedding. Like they're walking up the middle of a procession, and they're getting crowns and awards, and that's what it seems like when we do this step. So I just got to find stool here. Oh, that's right. We replaced somebody. Who did we replace? We replaced here, this guy. So I'm going to write stool, and he's skilled, and he's a USA. All right, so stool was on the mission, and what I'm going to do is I just put their experience points here. So he has 3 experience points. And let me grab his. So this is his marker here. So I'm going to put this back on his plate. And then he gets 3 stress, but he has a cool value of 2. So he only takes 1 stress for the mission, which is really important because I'll be able to use him as my air-to-air for tomorrow, since he only has 1 stress. And the 3 experience points, I forgot to point out. So what you do is you check here to see if they level up. And you can see, I don't know, my camera, or if it's through my glasses, the camera doesn't seem to be focusing very well. There you go. See how it says 5? Once we get 5 experience points, it'll level up. Okay. Dumb camera. Okay. Next is Prejudice, who took a lot of stress on this mission, and he needs 5 experience points to level up, so he's not going to level up. He has a cool value of 1. He already has 3 stress, so that means he's going to get 2 more. So he's up to 5, which he's not shaken yet, but he probably should not go on tomorrow's mission. If he doesn't go on tomorrow's mission, he'll get to reduce some of that stress. And then we just got to find Prejudice here and give him 3 experience points. Next up, we have Marita. Marita here needs 4 experience points to level up. So he's going to be very close. He has a cool value of 1, and he also already has 1 stress. So he gets 2 more, and that's going to cause him to go to 3. And then we'll give him his 3 experience points. Bam. Okay, next. JB doesn't get any experience because he's already maxed out, but he has a cool value of 2, so JB will get 1 stress. So he's ready to go on the next mission if need be. He is not a commander, so we don't get to give that experience to somebody else. And then I'm just going to put that he was on the mission, and he's already, I don't know what to put. He's already an ace, so I mean, I could put 3. It's just useless. So my nomenclature is if I write ace, that means he got promoted to ace right there, and he's already an ace. So I can just put NA. So he participated on the mission, but it's NA. It's important that I put something there because sometimes I need to retcon and go back, okay, who was on mission 1? And I can know he was on mission 1. All right. Last but not least, we have Druid. Hansen was on this, but our Canadian hightailed it out of there, as is expected from our northern friends. All right. All jokes aside, the cool value is 0, so he's going to take 3 stress, which is why I wasn't using him. If I would have spoofed with him, that was 4 stress he would have taken. Then he'd be up to 7 stress. But instead he's at 3. He does need 4, though, to get promoted. So he's 1 away, but that was a really good amount of experience for him. So we got 3, and there we go. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 5 pilots. Well, we had 6, but there's the 5 that finished, and that's the end of day 1, folks. So then we move to day 2, and we rinse and repeat until the campaign's over. Why do I love these games? Well, the decision making is always fun. Sometimes it gets a little monotonous, but I think the biggest attraction to me with the leader games is the leveling up, the experience points. So I just love the D&D feeling of it. You can tell that Dan Burson has a D&D background, and he does, because he made the Warfighter fantasy to, blend his love for his board games with his love for D&D. It was a crappy game, but he still did it. But anyways, this is a nice little blend. I would love if more military games had that kind of approach. You get squads that gain experience, and as they gain experience, they get a little bit tougher, because they're more veteran, they're less green, however you want to word it. But anyways, end of day 1. I would say it was a good day. The only precarious thing is we're down to 2 SO points. How many victory points do we need to get a good... So to get a great evaluation, we need 36 victory points. We have 3. There's no secondary missions possible, and there's only 9 days. So if we do 3 times 9, right, that gets us to 27 and we need 36. So we're way short of what we need. I'm sure there's going to be some overkill opportunities or whatever to get extra victory points. We'll just have to stay tuned and see if those come along. Some of those bigger targets, like maybe the airports or whatever, they're going to be worth more than 3 victory points as well. So anyways, thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.